finally here, guys. The new installment in the God of War franchise. I've been so hyped, so excited to play this game, to see if it could live up to the greatness of the franchise's past. And guys, I am very excited to tell you that even though this game is extremely different from the previous entries in tone and the way the story is told and gameplay, I am here to tell you guys, do not worry, because God of War is a great journey for newcomers, and in my opinion also for older fans as well. So guys, I'm excited to give you guys my review for God of War. Alright guys, let's get the obvious out of the way. The graphics to God of War look absolutely stunning. The draw distance is amazing. The detail on the characters, the texture, everything about this game looks beautiful. You could tell that there was love in the creation of this game's world and of the characters, just because of how much detail is in it. And also, I gotta say, the performance for this game is great. The frame rate is awesome, does not slip, it's always smooth, and with the PS4 Pro, you can choose whether to have better graphics, or you can choose to have better performance. I personally always go for better performance, which was great. I do not have a 4K TV, so even with a 1080p TV, this game still looked absolutely outstanding, guys. So that's what I have to say about the performance. Don't want to linger too long on that. Let's get to the really nitty-gritty part of this game, and that is the story. Alright, the story to this game is that you are in this new land with new gods in this world of Norse mythology. It is up to Kratos and Atreus to take the ashes of Kratos' wife and Atreus' mother to the highest point in Midgard. She wanted that before she died, so that is what they're doing. And along the way, the story begins to turn into this beautifully done father-son story, coming-of-age style type story, where Kratos and Atreus start off being very cold to each other, kind of. They don't really talk much. Kratos doesn't know how to really connect to Atreus that much. He's such a hardened warrior that he has trouble connecting to him on that fatherly level. And throughout the story, you're starting to grow a connection with him through these little moments where you guys are just together on a boat and you start talking to each other, having little stories about Kratos' past. And it's little moments like that that make this game's story so compelling, because the performances of the voice actors in this game really does deserve some recognition. They did a great job of portraying this relationship, and you believed every single piece of dialogue. And the entire story, as you're finding more things out about Atreus and Kratos and what's going on in this new world that we're in, you really find yourself constantly interested. Never once throughout this entire story did I ever find myself going, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to this area. No, I wanted to go and explore every little bit of this world to learn more about it, to learn more backstory to what exactly was going on here. And this game does a great job at keeping you going and making you want to keep learning things. And the story was an extremely great journey, and by the time I got to the end, I was so happy. Just such an incredible story that I just fell in love with. So story-wise, this game had an extremely amazing plot that really deserves to be recognized, with great writing, great dialogue, and great performances from everyone. So God of War definitely improved in the story area. Definitely for me. I loved it. So on that note, let's get to the biggest change in my opinion of the God of War franchise, which is the gameplay. If you've been playing the God of War series since the beginning like I have, the first thing you'll notice about the gameplay is obviously, number one, the camera is different. It's no longer pulled back so you can see a lot more of the enemies and have a bigger range so that you can see more enemies on the screen and just have a bigger view of everything. Now it's more of a closer third-person perspective, similar to that of The Last of Us and stuff like that, and a little similar to Dark Souls in that perspective with the way the camera is on you. But Then the combat is also changed on top of that. If you remember from the older games, it was very hack and slashy and very over the top craziness when it came to the combos in that game. In this one, it's a little bit more grounded. You can still do some pretty over the top stuff and some crazy moves with some of these, with the Leviathan axe and some other weapons you get, but it's more grounded. But that's not a bad thing, because the way the combat works, whether you do a light attack with R1 and you do a heavy attack with R2, they really made it feel more heavy. Every time you hit someone with your axe, it feels more, you feel the impact more with this combat system. And then you also have a parrying system, because not only do you have the Leviathan axe, you have a shield on your left arm, and you can parry attacks with it. You can do your melee attacks with just fisticuffs, and that was really fun to do. I loved all that. The combat to this game was extremely satisfying. Simple, but satisfying. And as you go through the game and you level up, because now, unlike before, you now have different skill trees for different weapons, and you also have a completely separate skill tree for Atreus. The skill trees and the way you level them up is that as you're playing through the game, doing side quests, doing things, doing everything that the world has to offer, you'll get experience, and you'll be able to put all those experience points into specific skill trees for your Leviathan axe, your hand-to-hand combat, your Spartan rage, or your sun. And all these skills feel very, very important. Every time I got a new skill, I was always using the ones that fit my playstyle. And that's another thing I gotta say. This game supports a lot of different playstyles. If you're more of a go in there and do crazy combos and just be overall DPS all day, you can go do that. Or if you're more like me, where you want to be more careful and make sure you don't get hit too much, you can have a playstyle where you focus more on Atreus and maybe your damage output and health and defense. That's kind of what I did, and I was able to do that. Thanks to the fact that now we actually have different sets of armor, which is really cool. I really like the design of a lot of these armors, and it felt very awesome trying to go out and find the crafting pieces that you needed to make these cool sets of armor now. You actually had a reason to explore, a reason to go around and do these side quests, because you wanted to get some of these. Because now with the creation of all these different armors, you're able to get different stat boosts from different armor sets, ranging from legendary, common, uncommon. You know the deal with all these rarities nowadays, and they all have different effects. And with all the different armor sets, you were able to play this game so differently with every different set, with every different ability, with every different set of skills that you get, because you could attach different skills onto your weapon with heavy runic and light runic attacks that do a wide variety of different things. And Atreus doesn't just have his bow after a while. Not going to spoil anything, but he does get some other abilities that can help you out in combat significantly. And man, every time I'm playing in this game, it felt wonderful. The combat was great. Doing the moments where I had to solve puzzles was really fun because of the way they took advantage of the Leviathan axe, where when you toss it, you can call it back, and when you toss it at certain things, it can freeze certain devices, and they did really cool ways to have you solve puzzles with the Leviathan axe. So I loved all the aspects of the gameplay. The only complaint that I had about the combat in this game is really not the combat, but the camera work. There were a couple times when I was doing side quests and fighting like tougher bosses and stuff that were side objectives. Not going to spoil what they are, but I was sometimes finding myself fighting more with the camera than I was the boss in certain situations, because the bosses that you would be fighting would be moving around so fast and doing so many crazy things that the camera wasn't having enough time to catch up with you. So for me, as much as I do like the combat, that was my minor gripe that I had with this game, was that the camera could be a little bit better and a little bit maybe pull it back a little bit. I don't know how you could improve it, but fix the camera in the next game. But that's my impressions on the gameplay. I felt like it was very solid, did a lot with all the different skills. They're giving you so many different skill trees that you could go through, so many different builds you could do with Kratos, which is amazing. I loved all that. And also, to let you guys know, this game is also kind of open world, not really. It's more similar to the newer Tomb Raider games, where yes, it's linear but open at the same time. It's not super open world where it's this huge world with a ton of busy work to do, but it's just open enough to give you some leeway to go out and do your own thing and explore a little bit instead of just going straight for the main storyline, which was wonderful. I loved going off the beaten path and exploring, finding these little secrets, and it wasn't too hard to find them because, like I said, it's not a huge open world, but it was big enough to make me feel like, oh man, I found this. I'm constantly being rewarded for exploring the world that they've created. And also, because of all the detail in this world and the way it looks, you constantly want to explore. You never once feel like, oh no, I don't want to explore that area. Every time I saw a cave or a secret door, I wanted to go there and explore to see what secrets there were to uncover in this game, because the game does such a good job at engulfing you in this world that you want to be in it, you want to never leave. And that's why this game is so great. This game had an extremely compelling story that I wanted to know 100% of what was going to happen. Then on top of that, the game had great gameplay that at first, when I first saw it, I didn't think it was going to be able to be that great compared to the way the old franchise used to be with the third person, more hack and slashy look to it. The one other gripe I have with the gameplay of this game is that as much as I love the combat and as much as I love the boss battles, the best parts of the game when it came to the fighting was the very first boss battle you have, or technically the second big boss battle you have, against this guy called the Stranger, and it is epic. It is amazing. The fight is huge, over the top. It felt like God of War. And then after you do this awesome boss battle, everything else in between, while fun, didn't have that impact. Some of the side quest bosses, yeah, they were difficult and they were powerful, but it didn't have the same level of intensity that this first opening boss battle had. I never felt that before, because a lot of the times with some of the bosses in this games, they were the same ogres with this log on their back that had different elemental abilities, and they sat there and you did the same kill animation, the same way of fighting them. And even though they were fun each time, I did have fun with them. I had fun fighting these enemies, but I'm gonna admit, I didn't have the same intense, awesome feeling that I had from that very first boss battle. The game does not replicate that first experience ever, really, until the very, very end. And even then, I felt like that still wasn't as good as what it was in the beginning. It was good, but it could have been better. And I'm so used to God of War having every single boss battle be so intense and so huge that after that opening, nothing really was able to really grip me like that opening boss battle. And that was another small gripe I had with the gameplay of this game. Guys, at the end of the day, God of War gets a solid A from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys watching this video and taking the time to see what I thought. Let's have a discussion. What do you guys think of the game? Do you think it lives up to the hype? Do you think it's an overhyped game? Do you think it's maybe not what you wanted? I want to hear your thoughts. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.